Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for another Golden Dragon gamebook. Now, at this point obviously I would have typically moved on to book 2 from book 1, but hey, Castle of Lost Souls has been added to the Fabled Lands computer game, and since it's available right now, I'm going to be playing through the old gamebook as well and playing Spot the Difference. Consequently, this video will appear in 2 different playlists. It will appear in the Golden Dragon playlist, and it will appear in a dedicated Castle of Lost Souls playlist, which will feature both the new computer version and the old classic, played side by side, so that I can confuse and befuddle myself by having 2 separate playthroughs running concurrently. Mainly so I can enjoy playing Spot the Difference, and hopefully you can too. If you just want the computer version, that will also be in the Fabled Lands dedicated playlist as well. So that one's appearing in 3 playlists. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put this one in the No. I haven't decided if I'm going to put the computer version into the dedicated Golden Dragon playlist or not, or if the only place to find both will be the one playlist that has both. But for now, hey, I'm going to record this, and we're starting right from the beginning. We've got a lovely picture here of some kind of fiendish looking creature moving through a field. There's a corpse reaching up, more dead bodies, strange blue light, castle in the background. It's all very evocative. Now, I have the old scan from Home of the Underdogs. I'm not sure if that website's still around, to be honest. And the new version from Drive-Thru RPG, which is absolutely available. Now, the benefits of the new version is that it is hot-linked, so we can go from one section to another without too much trouble. The downside is that it doesn't seem to have very many of the illustrations. Most of them appear to have been stripped out. And I do like the pictures, right? You know, they're nice. So I think I'll be sticking to the old PDF. But what I might do is kind of cobble together using the new one for the hot links. But then I won't know if there's a picture missing, will I? So yeah, I'm probably just going through the old one, unfortunately, which is not hot linked, and I have to scroll manually and find things. Which does mean that having the new one will be helpful in case I lose my place. So the Golden Dragon series, obviously it only ran for 6 books. It wasn't as well known or popular as Fighting Fantasy or Lone Wolf. I'm not sure if it was as popular as Way of the Tiger at the time, although these days Way of the Tiger definitely seems more popular than Golden Dragon. The Golden Dragon books were all standalone adventures, and I'm not entirely sure beyond the author what the link to the Fabled Lands is. It's possible the new version may have had some updated text to make it a little more relevant to Fabled Lands and tie it in more closely to the setting. I'm not sure. So we'll just have some fun and find out together, focusing on, well, both the old and the new, because if you're watching me play through both versions, hey, that's lovely, and I hope you enjoy them. And if you're just watching this one for the nostalgia feeling, excellent. Alright. Imagine how it would feel to be Indiana Jones or Conan the Barbarian or Luke Skywalker. Rather than merely sitting back and watching somebody else's adventures, the thrill and danger would be yours to experience at first hand. Only your own skill and daring in the decisions you made would stand between you and 100 hideous deaths. In the Golden Dragon gamebooks, you are the hero. You're a skilled adventurer who has roamed far and wide, always ready to hire your sword for a fistful of gold. In your yearning for constant challenge and the excitement of battle, you have fought trolls, ogres, goblins, mad warlocks, and many other strange and terrifying opponents, and you have always won. Not only you've always survived, but you have always won. The years of adventure have honed your reflexes and fighting skills so that few men could hope to stand against you in single combat. Meaning, you've always won, this adventure might be even harder than what came before. To determine just how good an adventurer you are, you must roll the dice. Roll 2 dice, add 20 to this number, and enter the total in the Vigor box of your character sheet. This score represents your strength, fitness, and general will to survive. Any wounds you take during your quest are subtracted from your Vigor score. If it ever reaches 0, you are dead. Alright, so 2d6 plus 20. 27. And as you can see, we already have a name for our hero. I'll get onto that in a little bit. Roll 1 die. Add 3 to the number rolled and enter the total in the psi box on your character sheet. The higher your score, the better you are at resisting spells cast at you and the more sensitive you are to psychic impressions. I think... wow, very high. Psychic score of 9. Roll 1 die, add 3 and enter the total in the agility box. This score reflects how nimble you are. You will need a high agility to scale walls, leap chasms, and so on. So, same again. 8. Okay. Impressive. Personalize your adventuring persona by thinking of a heroic name. You might call yourself Lucas Starkiller, or Sir Bergen the Bold, Lady Angela Centauri, or Li Chun the Black Dragon, or any other name you can think of. Imagine what sort of adventurer you are first. A noble knight, a crafty rogue, a dashing swordsman, or a rugged Viking, perhaps, and then choose a name to reflect your personality. I think, for this playthrough, since we're playing a female knightly character who is quite devout in the computer version, let's play a male character in this one. And as we know, the adventure involves a demon and, you know, a number of spiritual elements and holy elements. I'm thinking some kind of witch hunter type. So, you know, big hat, leather coat, that kind of deal. And I went with the name Jurian Voss. I imagine he's in his late 30s with shoulder-length hair and stubble. You know, kind of is out in the wilds, quite a lot of adventuring. I was hesitant with the Voss because our character in the computer game is called Vorga, which of course also begins with a V, and is a reference to the Vorga tea in Tiger Tiger by Alfred Bester. Not Tiger Tiger by Alfred Lord Tennyson, which is completely different, but the inspiration for the title of the novel. Your vigor will change constantly during the adventure, every time you are wounded, in fact. You may acquire healing potions or salves on your quest. These will restore some of the vigor points you have lost owing to wounds, but unless you are told otherwise, your vigor score must never exceed its original value. This is your normal score, and you must keep a careful note of it. Your agility and psi are less likely to change, although this is possible. Spraining your ankle, for example, might reduce your agility by 1 point. A magic helmet might increase your psi, but as with Vigor, your agility and psi will never exceed their normal scores unless you are specifically told otherwise. And here we have a character sheet, on which we are given 30 gold pieces, a sword, a tinderbox, a lantern, a bow, and 7 arrows, all of which I have noted here. We also have our combat encounter boxes. During the course of your adventure, you will often come across a monster or human enemy whom you must fight. When this happens, you will be presented with an entry, something like this. Entry 107. The giant tears a branch from a nearby tree and lumbers towards you. There is nowhere to run. You must fight. The giant has 15 vigor. Roll 2 dice. On a 2 to 6, you are hit and lose 3 vigor points. On a 7 to 12, the giant loses 3 vigor points. If you win, turn to section 273. This is not an actual section from the adventure. At the start of every combat, you should record your opponent's vigor score in an empty encounter box. Then you begin the combat by rolling 2 dice and, as indicated in the entry, deducting the number of points from either your own vigor score or that of your opponent. If you and your opponent still have vigor scores of more than 0, you repeat this procedure for successive combat rounds, deducting the appropriate vigor points each time until the vigor score of either you or your enemy is reduced to 0, indicating death. Keep note of the vigor scores on your character sheet and in the encounter box. Now, it's worth noting that we don't get modifiers to hit or to damage in combat. Instead, the dice roll required to deal damage to the enemy will be easier or harder. Our skill is not relevant. Our skill, it's like the Way of the Tiger, where the target difficulty of the dice rolls is an indicator of our skill and that of our opponent, rather than having opposing scores in something like Fighting Fantasy or even Lone Wolf, actually, where you would calculate the difference between combat skill of relative opponents. Escaping from combat. In some cases, you may be engaged in combat and find yourself losing. If given the option, you may flee from the combat. You will, however, attempt to strike a blow at your enemy will, however, attempt to strike a blow at your unguarded back as you turn to run. To represent this, whenever you choose to flee, you should roll 2 dice and compare the total to your agility score. If the dice roll exceeds your agility, then you have been hit and lose 3 vigor points as you flee. If the dice roll is less than or equal to your agility score, however, you dodge your opponent's parting blow and escape without further injury. You are certain to come across a number of items. Some of these may turn out to be useless or even harmful, but sometimes even the most insignificant-looking acquisition can prove vital to your quest. You should fill in items on your character sheet as you acquire them and cross them off as they are discarded or used up. Leaving aside such obvious possessions as your clothing and backpack, which need not be listed, you begin with several important items. These have already been filled in on your character sheet. Your sword, a lantern, a tinderbox, 30 gold pieces, a dagger, and a bow and 7 arrows, presumably in a quiver, or even case of some kind. You are now almost ready to begin. You will start by reading the background and then proceed to one and thence to further entries according to the decisions you make. You may find it useful to take notes as you progress through the adventure. When you enter the Castle of Lost Souls, make a map of its rooms and passageways. If you get killed, fill in a new character sheet and start again, using your earlier maps and notes to guide you. It may take more than one attempt, but if you persevere, you will eventually win through to face the demon in his fortress lair. And now, your adventure begins. And it is at this point we will begin to contrast somewhat with the computer version. Obviously there's no music or fancy graphics on the screen, but we may spot differences even this early. Linton is a prosperous market town that has grown rich and fat on its bustling trade. The jewellers and craftsmen of the town are without peer. Its cuisine is unsurpassed for many leagues. Wealthy patrons ensure a flourishing of the arts, an excellent place to visit for someone with gold to spend. You push away your breakfast platter of gruel and glower at your sagging money pouch. Soon it will be time to move on. Linton is, you decide, altogether too peaceful. No one has need of services such as yours. There is a tall young man crossing the dew-soaked green who shares your despondent mood. By all the fates, he mutters to himself as he passes, is there no adventurer of true metal in this wretched town? Noting the young man's fine clothes and rings, you leap up and fall into stride beside him, quickly making an introduction. He turns and says keenly, I am Jasper, head of the wealthy Faze family, since my father's untimely death some months ago. My brothers and I require a warrior to undertake an extremely dangerous quest. We have sent word far and wide, and many freebooters have applied for the position. In every case, their boastfulness has exceeded their courage and skill. We are on the point of despair, but if you can prove yourself worthy, then you stand to profit richly. You accompany Jasper to the Faze Mansion, an imposing edifice that stands proudly in some 30 acres of grounds. He takes you to meet his 4 brothers, and they waste no time in beginning their stringent tests. You demonstrate your fighting skill using a wooden practice sword, effortlessly flooring Jasper's ox-like bodyguard. An archery butt is reduced to splintered wood as you send one arrow after another unerringly along the target range. When blindfolded, you are required to dodge skittles tossed by Jasper and his brothers. Your sixth sense and your coordination are shown to be almost superhuman. You are questioned closely on your past adventures and have no trouble listing the proper way of dealing with any monster from a basilisk to a vampire. With each test, Jasper's smile broadens. Eventually, he throws down the book in which he has been keeping notes. Enough, he cries. There can be no doubt you are the champion we seek. Slightly less sarcastic and sleazy than the version in Fabled Lands. For now. You accompany Jasper to his study, where he explains the quest to you. The castle of lost souls, he begins abruptly, is where the demon Slank imprisons the spirits of those who pledge themselves to him. He puts a glass of brandy into your hand. You drain it without thinking. Oh, he should be rather more relaxed then at this point. Okay, let's do that. The castle of lost souls, he begins abruptly, is where the demon Slank imprisons the spirits of those who pledge themselves to him. He puts a glass of brandy into your hand. You drain it without thinking. My father, Luther Faze, died a wealthy man, but in his younger days he was but a struggling merchant. One day he came across an ornate bronze jar among his trinkets and wares. Unable to remember where he had got it, he read the inscription on the bottom. Immediately the archdemon Slank stepped from out of nowhere. After some haggling, my father concluded a deal with Slank, to wit, that he should prosper and grow rich in order to leave wealth for his sons and a dowry for his lovely daughter. For this price, the demon would have his soul. Father died 6 months ago. As you can see from this mansion and the estates, the demon kept his side of the bargain. While father lay on his deathbed, then Slank waited to take his soul to the castle. None of us could see Slank, of course, but we caught the odour of damnation in the room, and father had already told me, his eldest son, about the deal. Just as father breathed his last, a single tear fell from our sister Elvira's eyes onto his face. We learned the rest later, and I'll explain how in a moment. The demon took my father's soul through low hills and swamps to where the castle lurks, enshrouded by mist. Father heard the demon chuckle as he closed the doors behind them. Gathering his courage, he turned round and cast the teardrop into Slank's face. The demon howled in pain and ran off through the castle, clutching his eye, which now sizzled and smoked where the tear stuck it. Father is no fool. Seeing that in goodness lay the means to destroy the evil demon, he barricaded himself in the castle library and sat down to work out the necessary weapons. The action of killing Slank can be thought of as a spell that requires 6 components. A crystal ball, a 4-leaf clover, the ashes of a saint, the hair of a nun, a metal fragment from the armour of a chivalrous knight, and a tear from my sister's eyes. Luckily, father also found a book of necromancy and used its spells to appear to us in a dream. He told us what to do and that we should seek out a bold adventurer to be the family's champion. I hardly need to say that if you can rescue our father's soul from Slank's castle, we will pay you a sizable fortune in gold and gems." You smile and accept. Jasper reaches into his pocket and takes out a glass phial containing a single glistening teardrop. "Here is one of the items you will need. I wish you all speed in finding the other 5. You take the tear, recording it on your character sheet, and set out at once. You have an uncanny feeling that you are about to become embroiled in the strangest adventure of your life. Well, first off, then, I'm going to call this Elvira's Glistening Tear. And we will go to section 1. And we got a picture already. Look at these 2 old sods. Sots sitting behind an inn. Well, beside an inn. The sign of which reads, "The Four-Leafed Clover." Resolving to be systematic in your quest, you decide to begin by finding the crystal ball and the four-leaf clover. You remember passing an inn called the Four-Leaf Clover just off the market square, and this seems as good a place as any to commence the search. A short walk across town brings you to the inn. As you enter the tap room, the first thing you notice is a horse brass in the shape of a four-leafed clover which hangs above the bar. You may try stealing this if you think it will serve your purpose, or you could ask the innkeeper if he knows where there is some clover to be found. If you prefer, you could strike up a conversation with some of the gypsies in the bar. Will you join a group of gypsies, several farm workers having lunch, or a trio of adventurers, presumably would-be champions who failed Jasper's tests? Well, they might not take too kindly to our company, and the gypsies would certainly be the people to go to if we want to find a crystal ball. But while we're here, we might as well try and get a four-leaf clover, and we probably shouldn't steal anything from behind the bar just yet. As a horse brass, it's made of metal, it might not count. We were told we'd need a four-leaf clover as one of the ingredients for the quest, and I don't think this is the one we need. I'll speak to the innkeeper and ask to see if he knows where we can get any. The innkeeper says that there are sometimes four-leaf clovers to be found in the beer garden at the back. Hence the name of the inn, he chuckles. You go out through the door he indicates and find yourself in the beer garden. Several elegantly dressed merchants are seated on a wooden bench. Their merriment turns to incredulity as they watch you get down on your hands and knees and start to peer at the lawn. After nearly an hour, you're on the point of giving up when you spot what you're looking for. With a cry of triumph, you pluck the four-leafed clover. Note it on your character sheet, absolutely. Look, if we need the brass one, well, tough. We found this, and it was harder. And we have been ridiculed by a bunch of drunkards while doing it, so we're probably not in the greatest of moods. You hear some traders talking about a fete that is being held on the other side of the town. You make your way there, thinking that perhaps you will meet someone who knows where you can get a crystal ball. You pass through the south gate of the town and almost at once find yourself in a milling throng of townsfolk and gypsies. Nearby, a group of people are gathered in a ring. They are shouting and cheering, and you stop to see what all the noise is about. There is a tall, thin man with a scarlet bandana around his head, accepting coins from the people around him. He is taking bets on the outcome of a cockfight. Yes, cockerels, not willies. You silly ninnies. Let's ignore that right there. That looks like it should be harder. We might have done something there to make the fight easier. Anyway, we could place a bet ourselves. No, I think we'll just pass on by for now. Love the picture of a four-leaf clover there, which does look like the horse brass and make us think maybe we should have tried to get that after all. You are jostled by a crowd of excited townsfolk. A man in a long velvet robe catches your eye. He has been performing conjuring tricks to the obvious delight of his audience, who are clapping and throwing silver coins. As you watch, he brushes his fingers together and creates a flare of light and a puff of green smoke. We could pass on by and wait to buy one of the magical charms he has for sale. You know what? He might have something very helpful. Let's see. He offers you a lucky charm for 20 gold pieces. That seems very expensive. But I think we'll go for it. We'll buy the lucky charm and hope we're not getting ripped off by some con man. Let's see what we got. A luck charm can be used 3 times only, so you must track how often you use it. Well then. Anytime you're required to make a dice roll, including a combat roll, you can activate the charm instead. Using the charm means that you do not need to roll the dice. You can proceed as if you had rolled whatever score you wanted. You must decide in advance when to use the charm. You cannot use it to change the outcome of a dice roll after you have attempted and failed. Remember that this item will only work 3 times, so use its powers wisely. Shame we can't use it after rolling, because sometimes Map Tool likes to roll really bad dice rolls. A short, fat man blunders carelessly into you as he emerges from behind a caravan. He murmurs an indistinct apology as he brushes past. Roll 1 die. If you roll a 4 or better, then you have your wits about you. If you roll a 1 to 3, your attention is elsewhere. You know what? I'm going to use that lucky charm. Because a 50-50 is a bit too risky. Let's be feeling positive and alert and lucky. You catch sight of a glint of a knife as the fat man tries to cut the strings of your money pouch. Your blood boils and you pull your sword from its scabbard with a bellow of rage. The cut purse attempts to escape by running between 2 tents, but a pile of crates blocks his way and he has to turn to face your wrath. The cut purse has 9 vigour. Oh, he is so dead. Look at that. A 5 or more to beat him? Sure. I'm not even going to write his vigour down. We roll a 5. The cut purse loses 3 vigour. Let's do it again. A 7. Struck again. Well struck, that man. Now, get him. Another 5. While we've been rolling low, we've managed to defeat him without a single injury. You check the little man's pockets and find several pilfered money pouches. His ill-gotten gains amount to 17 gold pieces, almost refunding the amount we spent on the lucky charm. He also wears a cornelian ring in the shape of a skull, which you may take if you wish. Sure. This may be a trick item that will get us in trouble later on. However, it's hidden behind a 50-50 dice roll, so we're not guaranteed to get it, so I doubt it's going to be a item that is required for the success of our adventure. Remember to note anything you take in the appropriate box on your character sheet. You find some grass to clean the blood from your sword, then step out from between the tents as if nothing had happened. Just leaving the body there for someone to find later. Okay. That's the kind of man we are, is it? You see a young couple outside the beer tent, a swarthy gypsy lad and his plump country maid. You ask where you could find someone with a crystal ball, and without looking away from the eyes of his paramour, the lad replies, "You want Gypsy Gale. She's the best fortune-teller for 20 leagues and more." He points towards her caravan, and there we shall wend. We shall wend our merry way to Gypsy Gale, who looks like some kind of druggie slumped in a stunt. That could be just stripes on a curtain rather than smoke. Hard to say. You climb the steps of the brightly painted caravan, pushing aside the silk curtain across the doorway, and cautiously enter. It is dimly lit. There is a strange herbal smell, incense perhaps. Exotic and colourful fabrics hang down in drapes disguising the size of the caravan's interior. You feel heady and disoriented as though you have stepped from the noise and bustle outside into another world. As your eyes adjust to the gloom, you notice with a start a figure who sits at a velvet-covered table. She is clad in the same brilliant colours that adorn the caravan. You are pleasantly surprised to discover that Gypsy Gale is no wizened crone, but a ravishing, sultry beauty with red-gold hair and long-lashed eyes of sea green. She beckons you forward. Finally, you notice her crystal ball on the table. It shimmers and reflects all the myriad colours in the room. You have fleetingly considered several plans, and now must decide which to use. We could ask her to tell our fortune, suggest she reads her own fortune, try to steal the crystal ball, just swipe it off the table there, right in front of her, invite her to join us in a drink and spend some time looking around for fate. What, and then steal it when we come back drunk afterwards? She might outdrink us. I'm going to invite her to read her own fate, because if she sees herself giving us the crystal ball, she might just give it to us, right? She glances whimsically into the crystal ball and instantly perceives your intention of acquiring it. "Foolish thief!" she snarls. With a snap of her fingers, she summons two burly gypsies who brandish wide-bladed knives. You cannot get out of the doorway. This is a fight to the death. The first gypsy has 12 vigour and is a bit of a harder fight, so I'm actually going to write this one down. Let's cross blades, and I'm going to open up the dice roller for this one, so I don't have to keep typing it in there. Dice box, 2d6. We have a 9. We strike our foe and he loses 3 vigour. Again, please. A 5. Not so great. We are wounded. Had to happen at some point, didn't it? Let's fight on. A 5, wounded again. That's not quite so ideal. An 11. Well, we've wounded our foe. Let's see if we can... Oh, a 5, we're wounded. Then we strike him again. So that takes us down to 18. And him down to 3. This could be make or break. A 7, which is him taking damage. Excellent. Our foe is defeated. In the cramped caravan, they do not have space to come at you together. If you beat this one, there's a second one. The other gypsy lunges at you over the fallen body of his brother. Hatred fills his eyes, and Gale screams at him to slay you. I bet she does. This one is not quite such a skilled combatant. Maybe he might trip on the body of his brother. Maybe he's just angry and incensed and fighting with less control after seeing what we did. Let's fight on. A 5. Okay, so we're taking damage then. Fair enough. Yeah, these gypsies are pretty tough. They can take quite a beating. And this one does. As we land a blow on him. He gets us again, mind you, so... Yeah, we're taking serious damage here. And... Ow, we hit again. So that takes us down to 9 endurance, but knocks him down to 6. Okay. A 6 is us hitting him, because he's not quite as good at fighting as his brother was, for whatever reason. And a 5, oh dear goodness, we're going down to 6 endurance points. 8 takes him out of the fight, however. That was rough. We'll have to be careful going forwards. Gale has retreated to the shadows at the rear of the caravan. Her eyes glint at you from the near darkness. You wipe the gore from your sword on the velvet tablecloth and lift the crystal ball on it from its stand. When you bid her farewell, she spits on the floor and rasps something unpleasant in her own language. You leave quickly before she can work her witchcraft on you. Let's get out of here and be grateful to be alive. Here we are. You now have the crystal ball you needed. Make sure that you noted it on your character sheet. Do you have the 4-leaf clover as well? We do. If not, I imagine we'd have to try and obtain it from the inn. You return to the 4-leaf clover inn. There are a couple of labourers enjoying flagons of ale. No, I've got it. What? Did I go to... Okay, 14... Was it 14 or 75? Or 65? 208. If not, turn to 256. If you have it, 273. 273... Yeah, now that you possess the crystal ball, the teardrop and the 4-leaf clover, all you need is a fragment of a chivalrous knight's armour. Will you go to the joust being held tomorrow, or go to see Hrothgar, a scholar who is renowned for his private collection of arms and armour? Now, I'm going to mark this section and demonstrate something. In the computer version, we were able to go and visit the village priest at the temple, who is a retired warrior and has a grand collection of arms and armour. And while discussing with him what might be valuable, it occurred to us that our own suit of armour might be worthy if we were devout enough, and we were able to chip some from that. In this instance, this is similar but not entirely the same. I want to demonstrate what happens visiting Hrothgar, but I intend to go to the joust instead, and that is what Jurian Voss shall do. If we were to go visit the scholar, however, this is how it would play out. Hrothgar lives in a rambling house close to the town centre. He opens the door to you himself, a small man with a ginger beard. He gets few visitors and invites you in at once when he hears your story, that you are a collector and connoisseur of antique armour. He shows you his small but valuable collection, including the suit of plate worn by the pure and valiant knight of legend, Sir Quedry. While the trusting Hrothgar fetches tea and cakes, you quickly shave a fragment from the armour's epauliere with the edge of your dagger. He will never notice its loss. You enjoy his hospitality for a while longer and then take your excuses and leave. I don't like this. It feels a bit too dishonest. We have had opportunities to try and steal the 4-leaf clover horsebrush from the inn and the crystal ball, and we haven't fallen to larceny on either of those. The adventure introduction indicated that we were feeling grumpy that there was no one here who might employ us and give us, suitable remuneration, and we leapt at the chance to make the acquaintance of one who sought such an adventurer. So it's easy to see why we might think we can steal everything and get it all for free. And this might be the correct item, but I'm going to go the other way. Alright, I'm going to the tawny instead. Ooh. Face in the ice. That is actually an interesting thing. Ice explorers do say that after too long on the ice, they do begin to hallucinate and see faces in the ice and hear voices and mocking laughter. And the faces do all seem to be hostile, mocking, and nasty. Let's go to the joust. You walk around the field where the joust is taking place. Amongst the various knights parading back and forth on horseback or cuffing their indolent squires, you see a very gallant-looking knight with a noble lady. Using the most courtly and chivalrous phrases, he is declaring his boundless love for her. She offers him a band of green silk finished with gold, the symbol of her favour, and he accepts with a self-effacing smile. You have found your man. You approach him. I think in this old version we might need the sliver of armour from the breastplate from the Antiques collection, and not something from this knight, and it might actually matter later on where we got it from. Let's explain our quest and ask for his help. He seems honourable and noble enough. We're not going to steal his helmet while he isn't looking and while his squire is struggling with it, or resort to low cunning. No, we'll just... Look, he's an honourable man. Let's deal with him honourably, and he'll do the same with us. He will not take kindly to either of these other options. He is only too glad to be able to assist you in your noble undertaking. He holds out his gauntlet for you to take, but you point out that you need only a small fragment. Swiftly he shaves a sliver from his helmet with the sharp edge of his sword. We now have a sliver of a knight's helmet. I'm making a note of that to differentiate it from the breastplate, as it may matter. You return to the Fae's mansion now with the 4 of the 6 items you need for your quest. Only the saint's ashes and the hair of a nun remain to be found, but Jasper suggests that since the town is not an especially holy place, you may have more luck obtaining the last 2 items on your way to the Castle of Lost Souls. You spend a couple of days studying maps and traveller's accounts, planning your routes to the Demon's Keep. If you're wounded, regain 2 vigour points for your rest. A whole 2 points puts us all the way up to 8. Maybe we should be on the lookout for restorative items in the future. The evening before you are due to set out, you gaze from the library windows towards the setting sun. In that direction lies the castle, but in this world, or in the next? You yawn and close the compendium of charts you have been studying. Whatever awesome perils await you, there is little to be gained from dwelling upon them now. And let's turn to section 47. At this point, I'm going to wrap the episode here because we are a little ahead of where we were in the computer version. And it's worth noting that that adaptation had a longer introduction and a custom trial with the Fae's family, which gave us a pair of special boots that would allow us to walk the path to the Demon's Castle, the path which is not normally available on the Fabled Lands map, so presumably stepping into another dimension. I will check if some kind of special boots are offered here, but I suppose I'll find that out in the next episode. I don't remember special boots being required or even given. You know what? I've enjoyed this one, and I hope you all have too. If you have, I'll look forward to seeing you all on the next one, and if you're enjoying comparing the 2 playthroughs, they will run concurrently. And in the playlist that features both of them, I will arrange for videos in the order that I upload them. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, and see you all next time. Bye for now, everyone, and cheerio. See you all soon.